Welcome to Dead Skull Crypto. Hopefully you can actually hear me now. I had some technical difficulties. Needed to put in a key stream and get this bad boy running in the right direction. So it's been a painful week. I mean, you're probably in pain. I'm not. That's a joke. I just watched my alt portfolio get completely destroyed and thrown down the wishing well of death. It's been a blast to really watch this happen, and that's a hell of a lot of sarcasm in case you hadn't figured it out. But what we're going to talk about is this dump we've had, and then when to expect a pump. And I've heard a lot of people say a lot of things. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm actually correct about anything. And my mic looks like it's really super hot right now, so I don't know if my audio got messed with recently or what the deal is. So hopefully it's not blowing your ears out. If it is, feel free to let me know. If it's not, don't say anything. We're all good either way. Okay, so where to begin? So you've no doubt heard that the tariffs have affected everything having to do with the markets and crypto, and we just have to accept the fact that that's ultimately where everything's going. My audio seems really super hot. My voice is not that loud. I am redlining so hard right now. Alright, I gotta see something here. I gotta pull up my own stream. And actually test this out. It's still showing that I'm not live, which is bizarre. I thought I had fixed all my settings and we're here fucking around. It says I'm live. We're here fucking around. Okay, perfect. What a shit show to start this motherfucker out with. Okay, perfect. That shit is a little hot. What a shit show to start this motherfucker out with. Alright, we're turning the volume down so I don't bust your ears and cause this sound to get so hot. Alright, thank you for bearing with me if you watch the show or care to pop in for a bite to eat. And I mean, all beautiful ladies that want to have their faces ripped off in the trenches. That's also a joke. Don't ever hurt somebody or bite their face off. You'll probably go to prison, and I would never want to see anybody do that. So anyway, I hope you're having a fabulous Sunday. I spent yesterday in the hospital, which was a friggin' roller coaster ride of fun. I'm okay, don't worry. Everybody that was involved is okay. Everybody walked away 5 hours after, 6 hours after we got there, so they just needed a few things done to help people not lose their minds. Anyway, moving on, enough about my life. So what we're actually looking at right now is the chart recently. In December, we just clipped this high recently, January 21st, which is the day after the inauguration. We actually clicked above our recent high, so this is technically a double top, right? And we're also looking at the daily chart just so you're aware, and what I'm seeing here is a VWAP that's starting to curve around to the bottom side. I'm pretty sure we're going to see this take a few days to rip to the upside. Who knows? In any case, this could just revert to an outside curve, or a curve that is going like a turtle instead of like a bull. And so hopefully we see that, and hopefully we see the money flow come up. Now, this is just one time frame that I've looked at today, just briefly while I was dealing with a parental unit who wanted to lecture me on the finer things in life. However, you don't need to know that, but apparently I decided to tell you. Let me go ahead and pull this up really quick. I gotta pull something up in the background, otherwise I won't ever forgive myself. Alright. Yeah, apparently that didn't work. I'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Okay. So I hope you had an awesome weekend so far. I hope you have an awesome rest of your week. Amazing, fantabulous, beautiful week, if you will. Or just a good week, you know? Maybe it doesn't suck as last week did. Hopefully you don't have a corporate job. I sure as shit don't, and I'm trying to never have a corporate job. I'm actually going to start actively trading here probably this week. I have an account with a company that allows you to do spot, margin, and leverage. And I'm probably going to have to get a CPA because there's like software out there like CoinLedger or other ones that are similar that don't support leverage trading. Some of them do support margin trading, but I want to be able to short, and I want like 10, 20x longs. Okay. So, basically the tariffs really screwed everything up. The trash talking that outside of the crypto promises and the crypto come-throughs with Trump, a lot of what we're seeing is jockeying at the very beginning of a new termed president of the United States. Now, my first thought is this. Is it going to be decent? Who knows? Are we going to see like things start to recede? It could very well happen in February. There's a lot of people that say February is a great month and that it's going to be amazing and we're going to have the biggest crypto pump and altcoins are going to rip to the ceiling. It's very possible that could happen. We don't have quantitative tightening right now. I have seen some people talk about quantitative tightening, and when they actually stop, sorry, what if I misspoke maybe, but when quantitative tightening is happening, that's basically cutting off a ton of money that could be pushed into other markets because people are pulling back on businesses. People are pulling back on some of their investments. They become less likely to get into risk assets like Bitcoin, altcoin. Some stocks could be considered risk stocks. I mean, for the most part, they might pull into bonds or gold or silver or something that's going to be a slower moving, potentially outperforming to some degree. At least they're not losing their butt cheeks if that happens. So you just gotta be patient with this. If I were gonna tell you everything about me, which I'm not, but some people put their life savings into this stuff, and some people actually just put like 10% of their life savings because they obviously don't want to lose everything. And everybody's got different goals, is what I'm getting at. At the end of the day, you got to be very careful about what you do, and you got to be very careful about how much you put in and what projects that you're in. And the only thing about that is like there's a lot of things you could pick, and it wouldn't necessarily be the best pick. I mean, for example, I actually picked up IMX, which is a gaming token. I have a few gaming tokens that really haven't moved, and IMX is just one of those coins that there's not a lot of hype around it. I'm not hearing much about it right now out there in the world. And this is just one example. I'm actually still holding on to it and hoping that we see some market movement to the upside and get an alt season. And I think once the gun token for what's the frickin' game I can't think of right now. It's one of the best games out there. One of the best games in Web3, if not the best game. Geez, why can't I remember the name of it? I just saw this like 2 days ago. It's for Gunzilla, Off the Grid. Why can I not remember that? It's such a common phrase when people want to go live out in the wilderness and shoot animals or survive like, you know, the survival shows. Or start militias, they could do that too. So we've had a significant run up. We're seeing some up and down chop. Let me throw out some lines here just for funsies. Basically had a local top. All right, shift key worked for me. And we're basically right at, I mean, this is really more the channel here than anything else. If I was going to make a channel, that's kind of a closer channel. I mean, we could say that it's going upwards in a different way, but it might be more of an upward triangle. Let me readjust this and just see what that looks like. So if we had this here, and we had this here, that's like barely going up. And then we'll take this groovy gal, place her right there. Get a little dual dab ya. I don't love that. Like that a little bit more. That's a little more dangerous. Got some touches on it. I mean, this is an upward facing wedge, really. Well, this line is straight, so that'd be more of an ascending triangle rather than anything else. And sometimes with those, you'll actually see that there's a greater probability for everything to go down. In fact, now that's not always the case. I mean, we are in a bull market. On the daily, it does show 18 here. Excuse me, I had to yawn. I just had to take some medication for something that I have to get rid of. And no, it's not STDs. It's a little virus I caught. Okay, so 18 on the above, -5 on the bottom for the DBSIs. If you don't know what that is, that's a dual band strength index. And that's important because when you have an 18 up top, that's a pretty strong number, and a -5 on the bottom, that's a pretty strong number. That's talking about price action going to the bottom. And when you get these little diamonds and X's there, that's also not the greatest sign in the world, you know. But those are a little bit more insignificant. There's some more important factors that we should focus on. First, here, the white triangle going down is the VWAP. And the VWAP basically it shows short-term movements to the upside and to the downside. So you can see this is to the downside here. This is to the downside here. Whoops. I should have used a different color. Like those two are showing this dip and this dip. And if you notice on the VWAPs, this one has a much more deeper triangle. It's headed to the bottom more sharply. This one just kind of went, plateaued. This one's still moving, so that's why you're really seeing a little bit more of a bigger candle and a bigger move to the downside as compared to the other one. This could signify a potential stronger move to the downside. We also have some spider lines. Let's get rid of some of this garbage. So some spider lines that we've hit are this spider line right here we've pierced through. I'll go to the shorter term time frames here in a second, but basically we're looking at piercing through a spider line. Resistance caused it to come back up to about 98, 97 high. And it remains to be seen whether or not that's continues to go up. Excuse me. God, you have to. I guess this medication is supposed to make you tired. I only slept 6 hours last night, so maybe that's part of it too. But I ran around for like 18 hours yesterday taking care of shit. Not that it really matters, but excuse the yawns. Maybe it'll put us all to sleep early on a Sunday. So the momentum wave, we got a red dot here, and it really started to look bad until we got right here with the green dot, and the RSIs were kind of close, and they were headed back up during that time frame, and then they pinched and decided to head back down. These lines basically mean that when they're pinched together and they're up at the top of the spectrum, like 75, 85, 90, there's going to be a point generally, even in a bull run, where they're going to dip. If these are pinched and they're like even pinched like almost right on top of each other, this is pretty close to what I mean. Pinched right on top of each other would be more like this area here. And so my point is they're headed towards the downside of things. And we got a red dot right here, and plus this VWAP is going down pretty sharp. It could potentially go down sharper than this. I haven't seen anything, just go straight vertical down, but it could, kind of go at an angle like that. It could go at a 45-degree angle. Anything can happen with the VWAP. It really depends on the money flow, and this big, beautiful green blob right here is the money flow, ladies and gentlemen. And what I do want to tell you is we need that thing to be as fat as it is over here when we were ripping to Valhalla at like 106, 108. The volume here has been a little choppy too. Let's be honest with each other. Choppy volume. Yeah, I want to see big chunks of like buyers. Like that's all I want to see. That's it. That's it. And then we got to take a look at the volume over here. And I thought I was going to make food after this. I might just go ahead for a nap. Jeez. So the one good thing about where we're at right here is this is at resistance line, which is interesting because the spider line is actually almost identical to the this part of the volume right here. We got to chew through this before we can do anything else. And the white, which is the buying, the darker is the selling. More buying than anything else. And you can see how the very peak is right at the bottom of this thing right here, of this candle. So that tells me we probably have a greater chance of this kind of ranging a little bit until it gets enough strength to go into this selling spot. We need enough pressure and money flow to go into this and up that and just eat through that. And then once we do that, hopefully we won't have too much resistance, but there's a strong possibility, and here's why. Once we get through that, we have a little easier time coming out of that probably than going into it. It's not as much, the peak isn't out so far. But then we have these two spider lines right here. Now, I say this, you never know. There could be a bunch of sellers over here March 25th. Not saying that that's when it's actually going to happen, but the whole point of what this is to look at the buyers versus the buying versus selling volume at specific levels. And this is 104.69. That's a great number. I wish it were like 420.69 because that would be super. But at the end of the 69, you'd have to add an extra zero. So it would be 420,069. Okay, moving on. I keep drawing funny shapes on here. I hope I don't start seeing pink elephants fly. I mean, it would be cool, and the stream might be fire as F. People might be coming from all over places saying this Dead Skull guy is talking about seeing flying pink elephants. Anywho, so besides the daily, I'm going to look at the 12-hour. We'll just take a little gander, a little gallop and a little gander over there. Yeah, we've got a Lux Algo sell signal, this little red diamond right next to it. is it's a blood diamond, so that means we're gonna hit her in the shitter. Basically, go down so far that it might potentially destroy and cause Armageddon. That's mostly a joke. It's probably not going to cause Armageddon, but unless we're at the peak, we might call that Armageddon or I'm gonna gettin'. I don't know. That was just a joke that had no real meaning. But with that said, we've got the green money flow coming down. The only good news is it's looking a little like it might curve back up pretty quickly. The RSIs are coming down, signifying that crypto has been, or Bitcoin has been overbought. This is Coinbase, by the way. Up here in the corner, Coinbase, hiking a she. So I'm doing Bitcoin US dollar. If you haven't paid attention, it's fine if you didn't. I'm here to have fun and talk about entertaining things that are not financial advice, you silly gooses. So the momentum wave is cutting down pretty hard. I don't see it. I mean, it's very possible it could hit the 70 line the way that it's coming down. 70, 80. I mean, it just depends on market sentiment and how some of these reactions play out. Like if it took a line like this, I mean, we might be at the end of February and that might be at 100 to, we'll just call it 70, before we get a correction back up this way. Well, that didn't stick, did it? And then we might get a correction like that, but back to the upside. It's going to take some time to really figure that one out. But, from what I'm seeing, it takes a little time for a new president to come in. And when Trump is changing as many things as he's changing and deporting people and there are riots everywhere. And my mom was laughing about that today when we took my dog out walking. She, I won't say what she said, but she was just saying Trump's just going to make all wild comments and try to cause problems with the tariffs. And I was just like, yeah, he's probably going to bluff them a little bit, and then they'll come to a compromise, and everybody will be happy. That was the gist of it. I'm not going to go into any other detail, but that was my dog barking. Just kidding, I yawned. So, I didn't realize this medication was going to make me super sleepy. Okay, so the 12-hour doesn't look any better. The RSIs are coming down. So, depending on how far they come down and how quickly, we might see in a few days, maybe a week, where we bottom out, and with RSIs and then come back up. It's the very same with our momentum here. Money flow is what really does concern me because it's really close to the zero line, and that's just a problematic patty. We want to see more positive things on the smaller time frames. But you could probably expect, looking at a daily time frame and then walking backwards to the smaller time frames, we're obviously going to see support for where the daily is, right? So now, not much to talk about with the RSI and the Stoke here. They're split apart so far. It's like my ex-girlfriend's legs on a good Tuesday night when I was at work, and money flow is still bottomed out. I mean, that's telling me that risk off money or risk on money is not here. It's actually taken the week off. But that can obviously turn around very quickly. I mean, what we're seeing here isn't terrible price action. I mean, Bitcoin is at 105 or 97,000 now. I hope we don't see a $70,000 or, a $30,000 dip from here all the way down to like 67,000 or 70,000. Is it possible? Yeah. But we're well into the bull run. And if it dips really hard, I'd be very concerned as to what was going to cause that. I mean, that's the big thing, really. You got to wonder how these tariffs are going to play out. You got to wonder about Trump going to war with Syria. And see, from what I read today, That's a play at China, which they're going to use third-party proxy wars to ultimately, uh, you know, make deals or, potentially go to war, which we shouldn't. U.S. should not go to war with China. That would be horrid. I saw some stuff that China's putting out. One new U.S. or one new military carrier, so it has a bunch of airplanes on it. They're doing one of those a year. We have like I think 11 is what it was, and we're not even making them right now. Like we're just like whatever, it's fine. I'm over here sitting thinking, well, we're having problems with airplanes, not only commercial, but the F-35 jets are. We've had a couple fail in the last week. It's just not been a good week for aeronautics in the United States. I hate to say it. Excuse me laughing, but it's just not good. But you can see here, this is just a total sell-off. I mean, the money flow has now gone from a sliver of green right here, and it's gone to a little sliver of red or purple there, whatever that color is. It's really, maybe the VWAP is kind of making the colors look weird. But anywho, I digress. That actually is purple. It's just behind the spider line. Oh no, it actually, the purple went to a dark purple when it went over the VWAP. Or the momentum line. Le momentum line. Okay, so that's a 4 hour. The 2 hours looking a little juicy right now. In a positive way. It's turning around a little. We've got some triple green big dots right here. And the disappointing part is we have 2 yellow X's right here. Those 2 yellow X's, to be very straightforward with you, those 2 little sweethearts, they actually mean manipulation. Now, it doesn't always mean manipulation to the downside, but that's usually where you see them. So I don't know a whole lot about the manipulation to the upside. I haven't seen it myself, or haven't seen any charts where that would be indicated. I'd love to go find some. Maybe I'll spend a day trying to do that, just for shits and giggles. But you've got the manipulation there. All the DBSIs are basically, most of them are not really affecting this. But this trend line changing from green to red right before it drops, like that's right on the corner before we see this big downslide over the last, day or two. So, expect blood and expect the markets to rip really hard. And I want to look at the 1 hour too. And oh, by the way, before we go to the 1 hour, the money flow here, it looks like it's starting to curve back up. Let me grab a little penny pen. So it's right here, and we're going like this, and it's starting to curve back up. Let's just hope it doesn't go to the downside. So that's what we want to see. Nice big curves out of these things. Nice big money flow curves that are going to be going up and up and up. And we want to see a big, chunky green curve for the majority of the rest of 2025, because that'll mean that there is a bunch of money flow coming in. And that's all we really want to know about. I mean, when money flow comes in, that's going to tell you we are really about to get super bullish. It is what it is. I'm not the leader of the pack, and I'm not a whale, but I just like to watch this stuff and talk about it. So up here, was this still February? Yeah, January 31st. So you got a sell signal from Lux Alga and a red diamond right below it. That's a really bad sign. Anytime you see those two together, which you don't see them that often, it is just a huge sell signal. I mean, sometimes you'll get blood diamonds that, price action pushes it back up, or it kind of just goes flat and isn't really affected. That's rare though. On the 1 hour, from what I've seen, the Lux Algo is very much the same. They're not perfect indicators by far, but they're really good. And I'm not getting paid by either one of the companies. I will say that I bought Market Cipher first because I hadn't heard of Lux Algo before, and I just wanted to check it out and then trade for a bit and see how much fun it was. Okay, so our RSIs are down. Our RSIs and stochastics are down at the bottom on the 1 hour, which means we should expect a pump to the top side. The money flow is still kind of angled down right here. You can see it indicated by the reddish purplish fat little slug. And the other thing you may notice is that our VWAPs are alternating down, up, down, up, pretty triangularly, like almost like a pattern that you would see on a terrible shirt. The downside ones aren't as perfect as the upsides, but you know, who's going to care? It's an ugly shirt. So the VWAPs are going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And then you want to wonder why you see a green dot here in momentum saying, oh, we might be going up. And then a red dot comes down on the downward VWAP. So a green dot here and a perfectly positive VWAP there. Positive VWAP here, positive green dot here. There's a red dot for a negative, very tiny, very slim negative VWAP. A positive patty for a VWAP and a positive green dot that miggity matches. I said miggity matches. I didn't really know of anything else that would rhyme with Matty matches. It just didn't sound as good, but that's okay. Green dot here, and we've got a upward triangle here. So on the 1 hour, it's definitely looking like, you know, this could continue and we could range from here, and it might be just a downward trend. I could sit here and put a line up on this wild child, but you know. All right, and then blammo. I mean, it's a falling wedge. It's not perfect, and I didn't line everything up perfect, but you know, when it comes right down to it, you gotta take a little looky look. So right there, and then really it's right here if we're counting the whole downward move from the sell signal and the red diamond. But to be a little bit better with this chart, you'd probably want to align it like this, like as far as a downward trend, or support for a downward trend, I should say. I mean, that's pretty decent. I mean, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 touches on a downward trend as we're going down. And on the upward trend, which is you want to see more touches, kind of placing it in a similar fashion. So 1, 2, and almost 3, 4. Yeah, so that's really not good. That's just, there's no bueno. No, I don't speak Spanish. I just know de nada and no bueno. And yeah, so there's enough about me. No, we don't want to leave the site, but I will delete that, and I will delete that. All right, let's take a look at the 30-minute chart. The 30-minute chat. Yeah, the 30 minutes pushing down. So we've been in a lovely downtrend from 105 down to 97. And we just got a manipulation X right there. And as you can see, with these RSIs are bouncing up and down following the VWAPs. That's really interesting. And now we have a VWAP right here that's starting to go downward. The money flow is starting to arc downward. We have a red dot right on the same time frame as the golden X, and they're all going down. So this isn't good for what it's worth. But basically, there may be fireworks. I'm going to jump on and live stream a little bit later, most likely. I just want to come on here and hop and chit chat a little bit. BTC is just in a downward trend. I need to get this because this is somebody at the hospital. I may continue if this isn't important enough for me to hop off and go dash and go help somebody out. Uh, all right, that's not what I was hoping it was, which is good. Oh, gay. Y'all are gay. Just kidding. Gay also means happy, by the way. It's not necessarily a racial or a sexist slur. And I hope you couldn't hear me drinking that water because, in all honesty, that's one of the things that really bothers me. I'm going to have to listen to this whole thing, and if I hear it, I may have to redo the whole thing and make it better. But yeah, so the 30-minute, we just got an X there. I think we're just seeing a pattern of crushing Bitcoin right now. I gotta assume it's some sort of either institution or it might be whales trying to bring the price down just to rebuy and make sure that they get an extra 10,000 and or 20,000 or 30,000. Who knows? Maybe this is the big dump to 75,000. Not that I want that to happen because my alts have been wrecked. I mean, riggedy wrecked. Like, I have lost so much value in my alts like a lot of other people. I've gotten out of the one or two memes that absolutely crushed me. Fortunately, one was only bad. The other one was pretty light, just as far as how much I invested in it. But I mean, we're still doing this huge upward movement. I mean, right here we're starting to see it on the daily. I don't love that just because I want things to go upward, not down. So let me just draw a quick line here. So we're looking at a kind of a line that might potentially go down that far. I mean, it might be mid-February before this starts to curve back up. I hope not. I certainly hope not. We do have good money flow throughout this whole thing. It is rounding out like in a way that I don't want to see it. For example, right here, we'll just draw a little line like this. When you see things like big money movements like that, it kind of scares me because it might cause us to be underwater for, 3 or 4 or 5 months. Just as far as money flow, and maybe that's due to the economy. It might be due to, dare I say, a black swan event. Whoops. Thank God Pornhub dropped off my little icons there. I mean, warmer weather might make people happy and spend money, but ultimately, from what I've seen, there's a guy by the name of Ben Cowan has excellent technical knowledge, excellent technical understanding of the markets, and a lot of indicators that he's built out into the cryptoverse. And I got to be very transparent with you. I'm actually a fan of his and used to actually subscribe to his platform. And, he throws out a bunch of different scenarios as what could technically happen. And, you got to respect that because, there's a lot of people out there streaming that just throw out 45,000. They don't throw out 45,000. They throw out things like, oh, we're going to crash, but it's going to be the best bull run ever. here, and I'm just sitting here going, okay, this is like the same thing over and over. So I'm going to try not to do things like that. From what I'm seeing here on the charts, and I gotta wonder, like, how far down are we gonna? Whoops, I don't want that tool. I don't want that tool, boo. All right. Whoa, where'd you go, my little lamb chop? I don't want the U.S. dollar index. That's not what we asked for. Strippers and cocaine. Alright, find me Coinbase. Let's just look at Binance too, because Binance is much bigger. They're like the #1 biggest chain in the world. Yeah, it looks identical, as I would have thought anyway. The people in the U.S. can't trade Binance unless they use a VPN, which I'm not even sure that you could get away with that these days. Maybe so, but I wouldn't try it. I would never suggest trying it. And no, this is not financial advice, you donkey. So, with that said, let's go up to the 2-day. 2 days looking like it's got some life left. I don't love the red dot that's printed there. The RSI is looking like they're coming down a little bit. If they pinch and start to run back up at around the same time this VWAP starts to rip up, and maybe money flow rips up too, we might be in a good mood. So we're right there. That's a 2-day candle? All right. And that's a buy signal from Lux Algo. So, the daily chart, showed like some really negative stuff that we looked at before. The 3-day is looking very, very good with that Lux Algo buy spot. I think you might end up seeing a sell signal from Lux Algo, which is going to be a red box with a triangle pointing down right here. The reason I say that is the crest wave on this momentum wave is crushing over. It's crashing. And there's a red dot here that printed. Plus the VWAP is going downward. So that tells me potentially we might see a move to the downside. This could just be an isolated selling event. We'll just have to take a look at it in greater depth. I really don't want to, everything we're seeing right now is just wild, wild stripper money being thrown around. This got a good pump here, middle of January. We thought we were going to the moon, and we didn't. We just kind of crapped our pants and decided to, take a good old shiz. So here's a line right here I want to point out. That looks like that could go deep into July, potentially. I mean, if I scrunch this little doodad up here, that could be May. I mean, that could drop us down easily to 90,000. I mean, it could drop all the way down to 75 by May. How would that look? Like that. I mean, that would be kind of reminiscent of what we've seen here, like a run up here and then that big old down to the whatever. My intelligence is off the charts right now. The medication is actually making me a little weird, which is good. Gotta love a little weirdness. All right, so that was November 21, and then by February 21, we really had like the money just come out of the market. You can see this big move right here. It was a green dot right here at the top, and I don't see a red dot printed here anywhere, but it just cratered, over the course of a few months. We'll experience that too. I'm just really hoping that's not right now, because I really would like to go out and buy a new car. There we are at the Dixie. The SPACs, the NDQ, the NJR, the VIX, the AAPL, the Tesla. The Tesla's looking mighty choppy. Like it's gonna take a dive here, folks. It's a fine Fat as wow, there's Netflix. Ooh. I saw somebody post something about Utah and Native Indians show on Netflix. If I think about it, I'll remember it. Let's get back to Bitcoin though, because I want to look some higher time frames. We're just looking at the middle of the week. All right, so Coinbase here. My hot little hamsters. No, I don't own a hamster. Unless you consider an 80-pound dog a hamster. He's probably 75,000 pounds overweight. He's actually probably closer to 90. I tried to pick him up the other day and I strained and almost dropped his butt. Okay, red dot here, not liking it. A VWAP that's crossed under the zero line. RSIs are starting to curve over. Momentum wave is crested into the other momentum wave. Money flow is looking like it might come back up. That's the only positive that I'm seeing right here. The DBSI is 11, and then we've got a -1 down here. That doesn't tell me too much until we get like a 14 up top and a -5 down here below. We get that number like that, 14 -5, fantastic. That's amazing. So with that said, let's move on to the sixer. And I don't mean a 6-pack of beer, you heathens. All right, so RSIs are kind of perking down a little bit, but they're both pinched really tight, so that could be a signal. VWAP's just barely below the zero line. We do have a money flow that is kind of flattening out a little bit, not showing much curvature to the upside, and then we've got a red dot right here. That doesn't really tell me too much. Okay, whatever alarm. That was a pointless alarm. That has nothing to do with things right now. Okay, 13 up top, -3. Not seeing a lot of movement there unless this goes to a -5 and that goes to a 14 at the very least. We start seeing this bad basis going up to the teens and 20s. That's where we need to start thinking very seriously about our long-term goals and what we're going to do when we have to put our 6-shooters up and take out a bunch of people. Like we was in the Old West. I'm just talking like in movie terms. I don't actually mean like go out and hurt somebody. Don't do that. Never do that. That's bad. That's very bad. Violence is not appreciated on this show at all. Okay, so the VWAP here was coming up, and now it's looking like it's coming back down. The money flow is just flat. We have a little bit of a move that it looks like it's kind of nice. A red dot here, and the momentum wave is going like this. So it tells me it might just go back up like this if we get lucky on the weekly. But we need that money flow. Not flow from the diner. Unless she's got money. So, really quantitative tightening in Jerome Powell's recent verbiage wasn't good for the future of what we want to see for our alt races, or our alt season, excuse me. And it's not good for crypto right now, because when the Fed keeps QT going, quantitative tightening, they're basically not buying stuff. They're not adding to their balance sheet. They're essentially like squeezing off the money flow that people have. So higher interest rates mean higher prices. If Trump's tariffs come in and they actually reduce prices of food and gas and oil, I just said gas like it's not oil, but it could be natural gas. There's my cover right there. See, I wasn't full of it. But. So there's some things at play there that could really, make a difference. And, I'm not counting this cycle out just because I've seen pretty big dips already, and my portfolio is bled against Bitcoin the whole way. And next time I will 100% be heavy Bitcoin. almost 90% coming out of the bottom. And the reason I say that is because as well as Bitcoin has performed so far, the altcoins have just bled against it. Sure, there's some altcoins like Solana and a handful of others. And no, I don't own Solana, so don't ask. I mean, XRP just had a nice run. I know Casp has done really well. Sui is, or Sui, or Sui, or Sui, or C. That was done really well, especially if you catch them early. I mean, you could have caught like 30, 40x on some of those. Solana, I could have caught at $10 and then, obviously hit like a 20, 25x off of it. I was a little concerned about the, Sam Bankman-Fried stuff where FTX was, excuse me, have a sell-off and whatnot. Listen, if you need some nighttime material because you can't fall asleep, listen to this one because this baby's going to put you to sleep with as much as I'm yawning. Alrighty. So we're at the monthly. It is looking mediocre right now. The RSI lines are good at the top. They're overbought, but in a bull run, it doesn't matter usually because you'll see it bounce off the top and you'll still see momentum waves that rip super hard. On dips, momentum waves are going to poop, and then they're going to go poop. Okay, that's a terrible way to draw it, but more like, and then they might have a shallower dip, and then you might see them come up longer, and then draw like a snake, because we're in the year of the snake. Okay, so with that said, we've taken a look at BTC. I got to do some other altcoins and stuff. I just, at this point, like, I could do TA on altcoins and talk about what's going to happen in the future. But ultimately, when we talk about altcoins, I mean, a lot of them are going to run individually. And there are going to be some that just aren't going to move. Like, they won't even hit their all-time highs. But if Bitcoin does go parabolic, we should probably expect to see a 3 to a 5x from most of the altcoins that really haven't moved, is my guesstimation. Not financial advice, of course. I don't need any pencil necks or turkey necks or whatever trying to tell me, well, you said this, bro. And I'm just like, I'm just telling you what I think. It's for entertainment and educational purposes only. This is not financial advice. So hopefully your girlfriend's boyfriend will loan you some money to get back out of jail because you thought you could run into a Wendy's and steal a bunch of burgers and not get caught. They have cameras everywhere, folks. But I do think that, like, the monthly could change, and that's what we really want to look at right now. I mean, if I look at the 2 month, I mean, it might be really great looking. I mean, the 2 month is not looking bad. It's not looking great because the VWAP has got a little bit of a divergence there while we're going up, which suggests a downturn. And then if we go over here thinking that this is gonna go up like that. I mean, it could take a further trajectory down, but that still puts you in May for negativity. But if you look right here, there's not much of a dip, but it is between 2023 and 2024. Like, that's January 2023, and then that's November 2023. That's a whole year at the bottom, which, we don't really ever want to see. And keep in mind, this is on the 2 months, so it's a little different on the macro side of things. And it's fine if you're just a big turd and you only look at 1 minute time frames. That's okay too. I think I'm gonna make some spaghetti. I really want to make the roast, but it's gonna take like 10 hours. I'm not sure I'm up for that right now. Anyway, does it matter? I'll probably just eat 2 pieces of toast and then take a nap. All right. All right. Delete. It sounded like I said day late. Hopefully we see an uptick in that VWAP. I'd really like to see some upward movement. I'm just seeing a lot of negativity here. I mean, this could take days. I mean, it could take 2 weeks for us to recover from this little downswing we're going through. There really needs to be some bullish news that we get. Ultimately, that's my thought process. And I'm just kind of talking about it this way because ultimately I don't want people to think that altcoins are going to pump anytime soon. It's very possible if for some reason Jerome Powell says we're going to cut rates, you'll see the markets rip probably. You know, when he starts talking positively about quantitative easing or at least quantitative tightening less, I think the markets will start to really react. At the end of the day, when those markets start to react less to everything that's being said, the markets will be more flat ultimately, which we love volatility because that's where we make the money, right? So we do want to see commentary, and Jerome Powell often tries to go even keel with it and just really tries to not overstate things and tries to be as honest as what he's saying, because the press and then the traders and institutions out there for the longest time didn't believe Powell and factored in price ranges that were too good and factored in price range, and on the downside it affected them even more. So that's where I'm really coming from on this one. And yeah, so my prediction when we're going to see some alts really start to move, I'm hopeful for this. This is a total guess, so don't think this is going to be fact. I'm not going to sit here and have people come back to me and say, "Well, you said it was going to happen in 2.3 days." Don't think so. Don't think so. All right, just a couple more measurements on the daily here, and then I'm gonna have to hop it off. So November 5th to Monday, the 16th of December, Bitcoin went up 58%, basically. Right there, 58.6%. This is one of those things where we could see this, and let me just kind of pull back and I'll show you what I mean by that. So every time Bitcoin consolidates for a while, and this is not hard and fast, but where we're at right now, it's very possible we could see something like that. And I know this is blown up so big on my screen, you're probably having to look at it on a movie theater, which would be ideal. You know, that way you can use a ladder like you're in a library and kind of scooch across the floor. But I want to draw this for you so you can see it. So we move from here. Oh God, that's blending with my bands. So we go here, and then we go down, and then we go up. And then we're kind of going down, and then we're going up a little bit, and double top, and then we go down. And then we come back up, and then we go down. And then we go back up and down. And we go back up, and we consolidate. And then we go back up, and we consolidate some more. Then we go back up, and then we retrace, because that was a hard move, probably on some sort of news that I'm just not aware of, because my head's getting kind of hectic. And then we rip after going up and down and kind of consolidating in this upward channel. We go up into the moons, into the moonsies. So basically what I'm getting at is forget everything I just said there when I was talking about the movements. And I'm totally kidding on that. Give me a highlighter. So the big things, like Bitcoin like works in patterns, like right here. Goes up and then it consolidates. It goes up and then it consolidates. this isn't a great example right there. And that actually looks like a little character. So, but we'll say it consolidates down all the way here because that was the summer downtrend that we had after alts peaked in March of 2024. But it consolidated so much that we ripped all the way up here. Right? So the question is, where are we going to go? So I'm just showing you there's patterns. You run up, you retrace, you run up, you retrace. This is a gnarly retrace. It drove everybody nuts that was involved. We were like, can't we just get some real nice volatile movements? I mean, it was more of like a trading paradise because you could, if you started to see the 1, 2, 3, 4 movements and you were a day trader or a shorter trader, I mean, you got this one, and then that one, and then you probably didn't sleep, but that's fine. It's okay. Nobody needs sleep. It just wards off Alzheimer's, apparently, new studies say. But that's not scientific advice, so don't tell people to sleep more, even though I've read some articles on it recently. But at the end of the day, I got to believe we're going to see alt season within 60 days. There may be a black swan event that crushes it, but we've got to see some good news by March or the end of March. And it could be a little different where we have just consolidation for another month here in February. Maybe we do see some price action to the upside. I know that Charles Hoskinson said that February was going to be a very good year for Cardano, which could start alt season. You never know. But we do need retail to start piling in, and retail usually starts piling in once Bitcoin starts to really rip, and then they go look at the smaller coins and they just dump everything they have into them. But who knows? Maybe Pump Fund ruined that for everybody this year. I mean, Pump Fund just sucks so much money out of the liquidity that that might have been our alt season right there. My thought process is we might see a little bit of chop for another week, and we're going to need to get some more data from Powell. And ideally, I think hopefully once quantitative easing is talked about by the Fed or Jerome Powell, the chair of the Fed, when he does his meetings, I think that's when we might start to see some real moves. I mean, the world liquidity money is here. China's pumping like $1.7 trillion into their system. And that's going to be good for China and any crypto ventures that they have. Obviously, we've got institutions that are buying. And I just saw something the other day where BlackRock has been massively accumulating in the last several months, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, just big buys, and at some point, once the United States puts together their strategic crypto reserve, I think there's going to be other nations out there that are going to start doing the same thing because they're going to get FOMO. They're going to say, well, if it's good for America, it's good for us. But we're going to have to see how the BRICS things plays out. We're going to have to see how things are handled with China as far as tariffs, and then you got Canada and Mexico with the tariffs. And basically what Trump is doing is he's basically saying, we'll put 25% tariffs on you. And now Trudeau started to do the same thing to him. He's like, well, we'll tariff you too. And Trump will just say, we can make our own maple syrup. And I don't know what else they make in Canada. Skis, toilet paper. They got a lot of trees that could cut down for that. Still weird to me that somebody came up with an idea of cutting down a tree and turning it into a soft piece of toilet paper. You could have done that with hemp and saved yourself a lot of effort because that shit grows fast, not like trees. But they should plant a lot of hemp in replacement and sprinkle some trees around them. Just my personal opinion, But yeah, so that's basically about it. I haven't heard any new news about the Ukraine war ending. I know North Korean troops were just pulled off the border, from what I read up on Yahoo. I don't know if that's still a headline or not. It was. Maybe it's just on the news. Let me look. Oh, how will it impact consumers on the job market? That might be something to read. So Trump's warning of pain coming to America. You would probably want to assume we're going to see a downtrend based on that. And I don't know what day that was signed on. Let me actually see when that was announced. February today. So we should see some volatility in the markets tomorrow to the downside. Um, all right, Selena Gomez, we don't care about you. When I was a visual effects artist, I just stared at her face for like 30 hours. It was so not fun. Um, the world's biggest iceberg could collide with island home to over 1 million penguins. Well, I guess if it's the world's biggest iceberg, maybe they want to hitch a ride. Or at least, go sliding on it or something if their home is rock or something. Who knows? I mean, oh, let's see what else. Okay, those are shopping. I'm not here for shopping unless it's buying altcoins, baby. Um, wow, sentenced to 500 years in prison for dog fighting. Oh, that's so sad. The coach got shot. I hope they catch the idiot that did that. Okay, Wall Street Journal slamming his Teros. 35 Korean skincare products that will transform your routine. I think I might want to cover that on the next live podcast. I think that might be very interesting. Trump stopped 50 million for condoms going to Gaza. Is it true? Why are we writing headlines like that when they're supposed to be the news? And I don't mean we, because I don't work for Yahoo, but let's see. Um, okay, doesn't look interesting. I'm just seeing a bunch of like social or celebrities and just weird stories. They said it was 500 years for dog fighting up further up the ladder. I don't know where these people get their information from, but they might want to get their heads together so we all have the same information. It'd be really much better for like people not calling them conspiracy theory. I don't know what RFK said, but I probably will read that with my spaghetti tonight just for fun because I'm interested to see if he said some stupid stuff. My first question is, why were deputies at his home looking at the child porn? Were they part of the ring? That's a joke. That's a total joke. Okay, he's getting mad that he's firing the FBI. Maybe he should fire the friggin' IRS. Who's the meathead that had an Oscar nomination? Now he's making Christian movies. Maybe that's the meathead move. All right. I'm beginning to think that this is more of I'm beginning to think this is more of a Democratic website. I feel like I need to go to Fox News for just because I looked at this for so long. Okay, all right, folks. I do want to look at the finance side of things and see what the futures are looking like. Okay, I mean, not too bad. They might look like total trash tomorrow. I mean, a slow bleed here for the S&P, but it's been hovering around 61, 6,200 for a while, so we're not having any major problems. The Dow's still over 40, NASDAQ is still hovering under 19, or under 20, I mean. The Russell, 2287, not doing too shabby. Let's see. Yeah, Nvidia got hit hard with that DeepSeek stuff. I'm wondering if you might see a huge resurgence if, in fact, anybody can prove that DeepSeek is. I mean, I don't know this. I think Mark Andreessen actually already looked at their open source, but I'd like to find out what chips they're using, and I'd like to find out more of their setup in comparison to NVIDIA. Yeah, of course, the trending tickers, everything's bloody like somebody on there that just got stabbed in a butthole. Alright, well, I guess I've got some reading to do. Okay, well, hopefully you enjoyed the podcast or stream or whatever. And I'm probably not going to do too many appearances. I mean, I may here and there. Once things start get ripping, I'll probably make an appearance every episode, is my guess. But we'll see how it comes along. But, I just got to do my hair and, put on my face and look all pretty with my hood and, those kinds of things. So it takes a while. It takes a while to be this beautiful. So anyway, anything you heard on here is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes. Please, under in no uncertain terms, well, in every term, don't make it up, what I say. And, make sure that you don't copy trade me when I start trading live, and make sure that you don't believe a word of what I say, because this is not financial advice and this is just for entertainment purposes only. By the way, I love you, channel. You're amazing, and I look forward to next time.